Welcome, everyone, to Taking Over Episode 8. Pretty amazing that it's Episode 8. I am Chris Parrish alongside with the natural, the big star, Astrid. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not muted, so I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, I learned from you. I'm not muted now. I check every time because of you.
Well, it's always nice to have a little reminder, just like it is to have a little Bobby Munson in the chat. Good evening and have an amazing show tonight. Bobby, thank you. And we will definitely have an amazing show. How can we not? We always kill it. But yeah, we had a slow start to the episode of NXT today. Kind of picked up near the end. Your kind of thoughts on the show before we kind of dive into it?
Yeah, I feel like the pacing of it was kind of slow at first. I feel like it definitely picked up more in the second hour for me, so it was definitely okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, normally I kind of get a little excited when there's a slow build because usually it picks up and it's usually good. But this one didn't really do a lot, I guess, but it picked up. At near the end, we saw kind of where things were going. Turnbuckle Studios, what's good? Olay, back to you. Turnbuckle Studios, thank you for joining us today. But yeah, kind of going right into it. We had Braun Breaker, and we had Wesley, and we had Pretty Deadly to start the show, and they're kind of bickering, I guess, with each other. Pretty Deadly, of course, wants the ring to themselves. They kind of just want that attention, right? They're kind of those attention-seeking tag team champions, while Braun Breaker and Wesley kind of don't really have time for their shtick, I guess. What are your initial thoughts when you saw Pretty Deadly with Braun Breaker and Wesley?
I automatically thought there's a tag team match coming up, and which pair of champions are they gonna make lose tonight? I kept thinking, why would you put yourself in this pickle of like, one of the champions has got to lose. So why would you put yourself in this situation? I don't know. That was my initial thought. And I kept thinking Wesley's gonna take the pin, like I told you, because Braun's not losing this either. From the get go, I automatically knew Wes was taking that pin tonight.
Yeah, it didn't really seem very good for Wesley. That's kind of what I thought too. Um, Obviously, that's exactly where they went. They went to the point of wanting a tag team match, not only just a tag team match, but Braun and Wesley wanted a tag team title match, which I thought was very strange that, it just went to the tag team titles and nobody on Pretty Deadly said, well, we want the NXT title. We want the North American title. Why was it just the tag team titles? Not that I'm complaining, because I like a little bit of tag team championship matches, but I'm also quite surprised that nobody in Pretty Deadly actually asked for an individual championship opportunity.
Yeah. I would have too, is like carry all the gold. Why not?
Right? I know I was kind of thinking the same thing yesterday. Doing the watch along at Raw with the women's tag team titles and everything going there, but I thought there's a little bit more to what we could have got, and I actually wouldn't have mind to see a little match with all the titles on the line. That would have been cool. But yeah, so that's kind of what it is. We get a tag team championship match later on today, or later on in the night. So let's kind of get forward to that. But then we had Grayson Waller coming, we had R-Truth coming out first, because Pretty Deadly could not understand how this night could get any worse, other than the interruptions they got with Braun Breaker and Wesley. And then R-Truth comes out, which I don't know how you can say R-Truth makes things worse.
Protect R-Truth at all costs, people. Protect this guy, please.
How refreshing is it for R-Truth to be in NXT?
I know. Yeah. I love it because it just reminds me so much how he's been wrestling for so long and still. How many times do you go in an arena and he says what's up, and how many people still respond to him so many years later? That's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah, and I'm like I still remember seeing him live once when he was K Quick with the Road Dog, and it was just pretty cool to see that. And then on top of then kind of following him after that run and seeing him kind of as like the Impact, or I guess at that point it was the NWA champion. Just really cool to see kind of him grow in that aspect, coming back as R-Truth, always reinventing himself in comedic ways with Little Jimmy, and things like that. And can never forget the tag team he had with Miz. I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, he ends up going one-on-one with Grayson Waller, who I told you kind of while we were watching, I'm like, something about Pretty Deadly and Grayson Waller. I have no complaints if that becomes a trio. I know it's not because they're all British. I just feel that they all kind of act a similar way, and they kind of could complement each other in a way, especially with their arrogance and egotistical
It's
ability.
the
I
accent,
think
isn't it? It's the accents, huh?
no, I what
Admit it, you know it is.
Pretty Deadly on an episode of the Grayson Waller Effect would be very entertaining.
Will be accent galore.
You just want to get me on the accent train, but no, it's not the accent. Not at all. Moving on. Your thoughts on the match? Because I thought this was interesting match, especially kind of like a good back and forth. We saw a lot of good stuff. We saw a lot of offense out of R-Truth, actually. A lot of stuff that we haven't seen R-Truth normally do. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that head scissors and even that dive that it's the one that caused the injury. But I like the pacing between them and having somebody like him, share this moment with Grayson. It doesn't happen often that you get to wrestle Truth nowadays. So it's pretty interesting to see this going on too. So I really enjoyed it. It's just too bad that the finish is not what I hoped it would be, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and anybody joining in, especially our good old friend Darren Amazing joining in the chat. Hello, how are you doing? What were your thoughts on NXT? What did you like? Let us know. Activate this chat. Let's get it going. Let's get this chat room asking us a bunch of questions about tonight's episode, because that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, no. So R-Truth went to go perform a dive over the top rope. It looked like he didn't get a lot of distance, ends up hitting the floor, immediately goes to his left knee, and could not compete. The referee decides to stop it, awards this match to Grayson Waller, and we kind of had another referee stoppage, which I thought was very interesting because we saw one of these just a few weeks ago. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a trend, or which I'm kind of hoping not. But also, what were your thoughts on this? Because I wasn't really sold that he injured himself. I think this is a storyline. What did you think when you saw this?
Yeah, me too. Because I guess the timing of it and how I know they usually respond pretty quickly, but the way they gave Waller the match very quickly, usually they wait and try to see if the person can continue. I feel like they came to that, like the referee came to that decision pretty quickly to give Grayson the victory, and just that alone. And I, I know the way they sold it, but I'm not sold that he's injured, like really injured.
Yeah, because it's also one thing that kind of got me was that maybe the referee did detect something, and that's why he quickly did that. Um, and if that's the case, and I'm wrong with the not thinking it was anything serious and it was more of a storyline, then good on that referee for doing his job, because that is something that I just know as a competitor, it is so nice to have that person looking out for you, knowing how stubborn we are as competitors. So it's very reassuring to know that there's somebody there uh, looking at your health and making sure that it doesn't go too far. So that's cool. And I definitely like that. If it is storyline, I'm very interested to see where this goes, because I do like the dynamic of Grayson Waller and R-Truth. it almost has somebody that you just can't cheer against in R-Truth, one of the most lovable characters in all of WWE, with somebody that you just never want to cheer in Grayson Waller because he's so much fun to hate on. So it's a great dynamic and it's a great pairing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
So that kind of transitions us, as I had a hard time transitioning with my words, to Vic Joseph saying that he had a very awkward sit down with Schism. And this kind of really reminisced a lot of, if you remember when the Shield debuted and Michael Cole had that kind of sit down with the Shield, it gave me a lot of those vibes because he had obviously Joe Gacy, Rhett Fowler, Jagger Reed, and then also Ava Raine, who I thought was very specifically put in the front. And a good chunk of the questions clearly directed to her simply because she is the big part of the news going on lately. Asking why she joined this and kind of why. And she very much said, like, look, I got hurt at the PC, and the only people that even sent me any love, checked on me, was Joe Gacy, was Jagger Reed, was Rip Fowler, was Schism. I thought that was very interesting. Your thoughts on the segment and kind of the progression of Ava Reed, because I know that you're very interested in the development of Ava Reed. Or Rain, sorry, not Reed.
Rain. I'm kidding. No, I really like the way she not only deliver her lines, but she seems really confident while she's talking, which I really like about her so far, and the delivery of everything. I did like them pointing that out because before she was the final girl or like Ava Rain, I did hear about her injury, and I wondered how it would affect her progress in the PC. And I like how they involved this like the PC aspect in the storylines because they kind of did that with Nikita and Zoe recently when they just wanted to add about their connections and they said, oh, they Zoe's the one that was helping Nikita with her injury, and at the PC, she was the one that trained her when she started. So I like having those connections in because it makes them more real than just what happens during the show. It just shows you that they have a life outside of the show, and like the show continues on even when we're not watching, kind of thing. So I like that end of it. But yeah, very interested in what Ava's doing so far. And like I said, it's like I love that she's doing something that is not connected to The Rock in any way, shape, or form. And to see her doing something that we didn't expect her to do, but I really enjoy it. And I'm gonna point out because she said no one knew it was me, and I just want to screenshot my tweets when I said that it was her because I knew it beforehand.
Yeah, you definitely called it on a tweet. You did forget that you called it, but you did call it. So we got to give you props. I'm glad that you have studied my prediction skills from the old POS show. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so no, I just thought it was really good because they definitely very quickly feel like a group and like kind of like one of those deranged families in a way, or creepy families maybe. So it's very interesting to see that. It's very good to see instant chemistry with Ava Raine and the rest of Schism right away. I think that's very important. It kind of reminisced of. It reminds me a lot of how close or how quickly Rhea joined the Judgment Day. So I think like in a month time, in a month and a half time, this is just going to slowly become a natural progression. No pun intended, I promise. But at the end of the day, are we really surprised that The Rock's daughter knows how to talk?
Not one bit.
But if she's any percentage of The Rock and his promo ability, oh, we have such a huge star. And I'm not even talking about you, Astrid. But Ava Raine has such a huge and future ahead of her. And this is just going to be very interesting and very amazing to watch. Then we get to a segment with Javier Bernal. And he kind of is talking with Enes Enofe and Malik Blade. I finally remembered all their names.
Little victories here and there.
Right? Maybe I need to work out before everyone. Just seems to get
Hey,
my
so
mind going.
far, you started the show without being muted, and now you remember the names too.
Maybe I need to drink more water and less beer. Maybe that's just it.
You said it,
Yeah,
not me.
I mean, who knows? But yeah, so he's pretty much kind of saying, hey, tough luck. You guys have fought your hearts out last week, but just wasn't enough. But, trying to HBK and trying to get him to do things for you, it's just not the way to go. He's like, I'm here because I got a text from him to find out who my opponent is tonight. As that's being said, opens the door. Odyssey Jones walks out, announces that he is going to face Javier Bernal later tonight. Your thoughts on not only Odyssey Jones, who we forgot about last week, just went over our head.
Yeah.
But back in
I'm
NXT,
ashamed.
I mean, it happens. I mute myself, so don't feel bad. But Odyssey James back in the fold, seems to be aligned with Enofe and Blade, taking on Javier Bernal, who's slowly kind of becoming more of a mainstay in NXT.
Yeah, I felt really bad that I forgot about Odyssey. I don't know why I did, but sorry, Odyssey Jones. I forgot about you last week, but now I remember. Yeah, no, that was interesting. Seeing him like he was that in that little part last week, and he's already in action this week, so that's interesting with the timing already. But like you said, I like how they're highlighting Javier more and more often, and I feel like he's growing on me, because of the way they're showcasing him so far, and I feel like also just reminds me that with Legato out of NXT, they need kind of like that Latino representation to be highlighted a little bit more. So I think Javier is probably going to have that spotlight sooner or later. But yeah, I overall thought it was pretty interesting with the way they did it.
Yeah, I know we'll get more to her later tonight, but maybe Elektra Lopez with Javier Bernal could be a thing. Huh?
Calm down.
Just saying. You heard it here first. See, the best part about just saying the most random thing sometimes is that when it happens, huge win.
I'm glad you admitted it was random.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just got to shoot your shot into whatever field, and if you hit something, heck yeah. Okay,
That
moving.
explains a lot.
Yeah. And then we kind of get to Kiana James, and I'll kind of let you this because we see a package being delivered. What were your thoughts? I'm just going to let you kind of like take us away in this one. What are your thoughts about this pairing? For one,
I don't know if it's me, but I don't remember her saying her out of her, if you want to call her assistant, but I don't remember if they even say her name. I feel like if she is her assistant, they should actually give her a name for us to direct towards her later on. Um, but just the way she did it, I like how she did it before the match. And just like, here, what I'm taking care of my business in the ring, you take care of this business for me, out here. And she just handed it to her, didn't even tell us who it was for. And just like she looked at it, she already knew what was happening. Like she already had that game plan beforehand. So I like the timing of that when they did it on the screen, just giving us that part of like they're like dividing and conquer kind of thing. But I did wonder like her name because I don't remember if she's one of the signees I've seen recently. And if she is she gonna end up being her partner later on, or that she's just gonna stick to having her as her assistant for the moment and while she's training, perhaps. I don't know that end of it, so I'm gonna have to check check afterwards about that part of it.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was very obvious that they were going to align themselves just because of what they do just seem to have, like click and complement each other right away. So I'm not shocked that that's kind of where they decided to go. Um, it's just what I am a little bit wondering is that are they going to pigeonhole kind of what they do because of this alliance? It very much reminds me of maybe Dana and an Emma a little bit, but you kind of move around the kind of what they do. Like it's not so much of a like a Mean Girls kind of a thing. It's more of like an office kind of a deal. So, um, yeah, very interesting to kind of see kind of what they do because like again like this could be a very good staple in the women's tag team division if they want to let get this going. So I wouldn't be completely against. Um, but yeah, so okay, with that kind of going, we would then find out that Kiana James has a match with Thea Hale.
Mhm.
Um, and they don't know who's gonna carry the flag for Chase University because, as we found out earlier today, Bodie Hale got released today. And as we found out, there was a lot more to that release than we kind of assumed. But that is not something we're going to get into. We're not going to get into that because let's face it, we're not involved in the backstage. We don't know. This is all speculation. All we know are the facts. And we know that Bodie is no longer with NXT, no longer a part of a Chase U. But one Mr. Duke Hudson is. And he is willing to wave the flag proudly leading into the match. Your thoughts on this alliance?
I mean, it seems random at first, but it's kind of growing on me at this point. So I'm not mad about it. I want to see more to see how they progress together. Um, but I thought it was interesting the way they decided to address the Bodhi absence. It was like just that quick way of where like he's not here, he got replaced, or he got expelled. Just say it like that. Um, but yeah, I'm glad they at least pointed it around screen that they like he's no longer there somehow, because
Yeah.
it's kind of weird when you're in a storyline, all of a sudden the storyline is just gone. Because we saw that with Persia, we saw that earlier with Dexter as well, and it was so awkward on screen when they feel like they didn't know what to do because the person was in a storyline. So I'm glad they did this to kind of explain it in a way. They should just said that he got expelled. Why didn't they just say that? But I guess he was a good student, so I don't blame Chase. But yeah, I like the combination so far of Duke with Andre Chase and Thea. I want to see how it goes forward though. But it's not the same without Bodhi. That's the only part that I miss.
Yeah, there was definitely a connection with Bodie, Andre, and Thea that that chemistry they had is definitely gonna be missed. But I am interested to see the chemistry now with Hudson involved, seeing how that goes, and this kind of I guess if you want, like we can I guess go right into the match. Let's say, which I didn't think was a bad match. I actually missed this one part and then you brought it back up during a match later on. But the glitching of
Mhm.
it, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and kind of what was going on, and what was your thought on that? Because kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of saw it last week, but I wasn't sure. So I thought it was just me, but then this started before. I think it was before the bell rang, but it's definitely before the match. The screens in the background that said the NXT logo on them, that just went to like those like kind of like not functioning black screens with the colors. I forgot what the technical difficulty ones they put up, and the lights kind of dimmed for like a quick second, and they came back up, and they didn't say anything about it. I didn't hear anything commentary at least, and then the match started like usual. Nothing happened. I thought maybe that was me, so I dismissed it. But then later on, it kind of happened again, and Vic was saying, "Oh, we have some technical difficulties," and that was his way of like mentioning it and just in passing. But it happened again with the screens in the background, like where you see when the hair camera points out to. It went again to the technical difficulty screen, and then the lights kind of dimmed for a moment, and then went back up. Um, so yeah, I thought the timing was interesting that it happened during two women's matches tonight that I noticed at least. So I kind of want to go back and watch the women's matches last week because I feel like I saw it in one, but I wasn't sure. But I want to double check if I did.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of weird, but at the same time, I'm wondering, okay, is this going to be kind of the return of someone or the debut of someone? That usually kind of looks to be kind of the cause. So, very interesting. And like I know we both mentioned that we haven't seen Blair Davenport since the loss in that triple threat unification match. But at the same time, I mean, there's a bunch of people from NXT UK that could be coming over, and maybe even somebody like, if this is to be someone returning or debuting, do you have any early predictions since you have a knack for this?
Oof. I feel like one that I thought about because I think I saw a picture of her wrestling. I think it was this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken. It's Isla Dawn. You haven't seen
Yeah.
anything from her since NXT UK. So I think that would be interesting if it was her, perhaps. So that's
Yeah.
so far my first prediction.
Yeah, I know that Isla's Dawn's name was definitely swung around with that mysterious red hoodie, but I mean, obviously, we now know that it's Ava Rain. So, yeah. Anyway, this match kind of goes, and we do see Thea kind of get it taken to her a little bit, and then Duke tries to help by removing or by putting her leg on the rope to get out of a pin. Andre Chase does not approve and gives him what I guess was called a verbal teachable moment, saying that's not the way of Chase U, and for his actions, he must go to the back. And then basically, as soon as that happens, it's more of the same. Thea gets beat by Kiana James. Needless to say, not much to it. And then as Andre Chase goes in the ring to go check on Thea, Nathan Dempsey attacks him. Did not see that one coming. Didn't last for long as Hudson did make his way back into the ring to prevent any further abuse. So we at least saw a little bit of loyalty out of Duke Hudson, which I thought was really nice. But we also see Dempsey make his presence felt against Andre Chase. Is that I haven't seen Dempsey for a while, so it's kind of interesting that they paired him up with Andre Chase. How did that? I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like I forgot about her because I know he was used in those couple like early segments with Chase U about training, and just I it took me a moment to realize it was him because he's been gone from TV since that happened. So I never thought about him of all people coming in and doing this. Um, I think it's also interesting to point out that when Duke is helping Thea putting her leg on the ropes to like quote unquote cheat, not only did the referee see it, but the way Andre just tells him like we don't want to do it this way, and then he doesn't help her. She ends up losing. I wonder if it'll kind of make him realize like, oh, we can cheat in a way to like win, and this is the way we can get victories because if not, we don't win. And I feel like not only that, but the moment itself, it led not only to Thea losing, but him getting attacked. So maybe he'll think about maybe cheating next time, so that way Thea wins and he doesn't get attacked either. Because I feel like it was that whole domino effect happening after this because of that. So I wonder if he'll like start thinking of like other ways to win because of what happened tonight.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see kind of how this progresses because I wonder if the ways of how Hudson knew, like I said, is that going to infiltrate into the minds of Andre Chase, or does this bring Hudson back towards the whole fighting a little bit more honest? And maybe it takes those ways out, and then maybe there's a belief in the system, believe in the progress. So that's going to be interesting. I don't know if I'd want a heel Chase U, because if they kind of accept those dirty ways, that could be what we want. I think Thea Hale just has to stay as a baby face right now. She's too rambunctious. She's like the lovable version of what Nikki Cross was in Sanity.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
Nikki Cross is lovable, but she was also psychotic. But there's, I know, it's like I don't know. What's that movie? You know that I think Despicable Me, the little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of like her. It's like, yeah, it's so fluffy. Moving
So fluffy, I'm gonna die. That's what it is.
on.
Don't clip
Okay.
that just in case.
No, please do. We need all the clips. Yeah, and this kind of takes us to a promo. There were backstage thing where Zoe Stark and Kina Lyons are kind of entering the locker room, the women's locker room, as it clearly demonstrates. And she's clearly still distraught over the last week, to where she's still complaining, still talking about the loss. Indy Hartwell comes up and tells her, yeah, we all know. We haven't stopped hearing about it for a week. And then that ends up kind of frustrating Zoe. She takes a stab at Indy. Indy kind of stabs back. And then who would have thought this leads into a match?
Dun, dun, dun.
But it's also interesting to note that we're seeing specific seeds planted to see potentially a heel turn maybe for Zoe Stark. And I think this is great. I think Zoe Stark has shown just in the last, actually, I'll go back to when she actually returned. I think she shows that she is clearly I like to think, probably the locker room leader for the females. She is one of the most experienced. She's one of the more tenured of the professional wrestlers on the female side of NXT. It would make sense, in my opinion, to kind of start building this division with her in mind, knowing that at some point you have to look past Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction. You were clapping when I said potential heel turn. What about that excites you?
I feel like I keep thinking no matter how they do it, because they're gonna do it, maybe they'll break them up, whatever. But Toxic Attraction is gonna go to the main roster soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it'll leave that void of somebody being focused as a heel, whether it's her by herself or her and Nikita. So I feel like right now what they're doing is good timing, because they're building her up to that turn. Because whenever Toxic Attraction's gone, she's gonna be in that spot to be that number one heel. Her probably with alongside Cora most likely. So that's why I like the build up, the way they're doing it, the timing of it. I could see the turn happening probably next week with the tag team championship matches I was telling you. I could easily see her Nikita losing. She turns on Nikita, and Nikita is a little bit of a fan favorite, so I feel like it does help Zoe in that aspect as well. But we do need to have that person in there when Toxic Attraction leaves. You have that spot there to be filled right away. It doesn't leave you any kind of void in between people. So I think it'll be interesting to see, and interesting to see her be who she is as a heel with the girls, like against like her and Nikita happening afterwards, because it's probably going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, and I think this is a good thing. I don't. Yeah, I mean, would have maybe been a little bit nicer if maybe they did get a chance to win the tag team titles, shown that they were a team. Because, like, with all this being discussed, the one thing that is remaining, and that is Nikita Lyons, is staying very faithful, very loyal, and very calming. She's almost trying to be the Zen to maybe the anger, the frustration, maybe the temper of Zoe Stark. So it's very interesting to see that, because I know at some point we're going to see that aggression back from Nikita Lyons. So maybe it's going to be done maybe by turning heel with her, or maybe through a feud. But very interesting to see that. And this kind of now takes us to another promo with JBBJ. I know you enjoyed the segment. You had some good laughs with the comedy shtick. So take us away from this. I'll let you take us away from this one.
Was it just because of the Spanish line? Is that what you're supposed to tell me?
No, it's also because I missed a good chunk of the audio.
I forgot what word it was though. But the lady that was with Kiana earlier gave Fallon the papers just when they're doing the promo.
Is it Ariana Grace? Was that it?
No, she's injured.
No.
Yeah. No, it wasn't her. The lady is like smaller and she has glasses too.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
like,
smaller in like stature, just in case. Um, but yeah, I she came up and she had the envelope, gave it to Fallon, and I think JPBJ, we were talking about the tag titles before this happened, and she just opens it. She said a word, I forget what word it was exactly, and then I think it was a break. Josh, I think, is the one that's telling Jensen like kind of don't look at her, look at the papers and pay attention to what she was saying and the words she was saying. And then he's like, "But what did she say?" Well, he said read in Spanish. I was like, "Yeah, that definitely was not read in Spanish. I'm telling you right now." Um, but yeah, it just like Fallon was reading off the papers that she gave her, and I didn't get to hear what she said exactly, her reaction to the papers. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny though, where he's like, "Yeah, that's read in Spanish." Like, no, it was not, honey. I'm telling you right now. But it just I made me feel like I missed that kind of comedy part of it with them, like on screen. I feel like we haven't had it in a few weeks, so I missed that part of it. So that's why I laughed.
yeah, and I think it's always good to have a little bit of JBBJ on screen. Um, Also, I gotta JBBJ, not the official tag name, just kind of what we call them.
Yeah.
Are they ever gonna decide on a freaking tag name? This is kind of bugging me now.
And we got to point out this is a thing of Cody that Cody just said randomly
Yeah,
and won NXT, and we're just rolling with it. So thanks, Cody.
yeah, but at some point, decide on a freaking tag name. Like I feel they're at this point now where we should start calling them something. I mean, it took them a while, but even they became the Revival at some point. They even decided they needed a tag name, and that took on. So give me a proper tag name because JBBJ is. I mean, I'm cool calling them that. It's just at some point, man,
Something.
they're gonna
Give us
need
something.
merch at some days. What are you putting on
Mm.
it? Yeah, and then this kind of now takes us to the actual match of Odyssey Jones and Javier Bernal, which I told you, like, it just seems like Bernal's kind of reminding me a little bit of a Brian Kendrick, but he also kind of, his facials remind me of a Kyle O'Reilly a little bit. So I'm very interested on him because he definitely reminds me of people I do like. However, there was no way he was beating Odyssey Jones today.
No.
That matchup is just no. And they definitely played the size in this match, but I mean, not too much. Also, what is with Odyssey's gear? Why is it so boring?
I mean, Braun is up there too. His gear is pretty boring when it's all black. It's
Yeah, but
not much
Odyssey
to it.
Jones has what we call a personality and charisma.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Odyssey man,
We need
get
some kind of
some.
design in there.
Yeah, not just black spandex, man. Like, come on, you can do better. I know you can. You're with guys who actually are very like their gear is very interesting. Like I like Anofe and Blade's gear. They got stuff going on in their designs. So maybe you need to kind of pick off their brains. But yeah, I mean, just your thoughts on seeing Odyssey Jones. I feel we got to keep just saying his name so we don't forget it again. But thoughts on seeing Odyssey Jones back in action.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice to see somebody in action. We haven't seen him in action in a while, so it's nice to see him highlighted. I enjoy the match and the pacing he did. I also like the parts of like Javier just like focusing on his leg and his knees, knowing he's the bigger guy and trying to take him down that way. But it still was not successful. But I feel like either way, it was a good showcasing for both of them. Like it definitely highlighted both of them for me, which I like seeing that in a match.
Yeah. Um, and kind of yeah, and Odyssey Jones gets the pin. He gets kind of a if you've seen trying to remember what Abyss calls it, the black hole slam. There you go. Wins with the kind of black hole slam. I don't know if they called it anything. I missed that if they did, but yeah, it gets the 1, 2, 3. And before we get to the next segment, I just want to let the chat know that if you have any thoughts, any questions, or any statements you just want to put out, please do. We want an active chat, people. And not only that, if you can, tell a friend. Let us know that our local establishment is on the Twitch right now talking some NXT. Spread the word and spread the love because you guys have done such a great job that after today, we should be hitting our Twitch affiliate status. And we could not have done this without you. And we couldn't even do it without our beautiful sponsor, as you can tell right down below here in Rogue Energy. And great time to kind of let you know about Rogue Energy. If you go to rogueenergy.com, you can see a plethora of not only protein, like shakes and powders and stuff like that. They also do like it brings energy now. They also have a vegan stuff on their menu. So like they care about you. They want you not only to stay alert, but they also want you to stay healthy while doing so and be a little bit more active. So you go to Rogue Energy and get a. I mean, they got a lot of stuff. They got like the starter packs where you can get, a shaker cup and some samples. You can even get samples for free on there. Yeah, you could pick 3 samples and get them for free. I know this because I got an order today and I used the promo code word OLE pods, and I got 10% off my order. Yeah, it was nice because not only did I get a starter pack, I chose 7 flavors that you get. And then I also got a nice hat because, I'm a dude. Got to have nice hats, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
the struggle is real with the same hats.
Hey, it's a nice hat. It's very comfortable. All right. But yeah, go to rogueenergy.com, promo code OLEPODS, get 10% off your order. And if you're really hesitant about that, just try it out. Again, free samples. What better time to go rogue than right now? And speaking of going rogue, we had a young lady by the name of Mandy Rose decide to go rogue and do things she went and bet on herself, and she went down to NXT. And last year at Halloween Havoc, she defeated Raquel Gonzalez, at that time Gonzalez, for the NXT Women's Championship. Fast forward about 365 days later, she is still NXT Women's Champion. She not only unified the NXT Women's Championship with the United Kingdom's Women's Championship, she also dominated the entire women's division in that time and very much have reestablished her name as a female champion in WWE. And if you don't believe me, go back and look and put some damn respect on that name, because Mandy Rose has a celebration, 1-year celebration of her being NXT champion. She comes out with Toxic Attraction. They kind of tell everybody about all the things she's done, all the beautiful, not beautiful, but all the achievements, all the nice things said, only for Mandy Rose to get on the mic and shove it in the face of everyone about what she did. And you know what? This might have been the best promo she's ever cut.
Mm-hmm.
Before we're kind of getting there, your kind of thoughts on just how this segment went, because we both thought 100% this could lead to a Toxic Attraction breakup.
I was kind of hoping that would happen. Sorry. No. And congratulations to Mandy. She got number 21 on the PWI too, which is not a bad number for her. So, I mean, I wanted her to be higher, which I said it in my show with Mel, which is a different story. Don't be too happy, Ed.
This is what I don't get about the PWI. I mean, Charlotte is in the top 10, and we haven't seen her very much lately. Mandy Rose, killing it, winning, not losing, champion for a year, not even in the top 10.
Thank you. That's what I said.
PWI. You got some explaining to do. Not to mention, Charlotte's not even the best in the WWE. Anyway, that's a rant. Don't want to get.
Oh yeah, that was my rant when I did my show with Mel too, because 21's not a bad number, but being champion for a whole year and beating Meiko Satomura in your resume, I feel like that should give her a higher spot at what she got, but that's a different story. I did like the presentation they had here, like the pictures of her, like were their highlights when she won the title, the unification match, the setup itself, the video package, those little details of like the victories when she returned. But I like how it wasn't just what happened in this whole year. We went all the way back to her career, to the beginning, to show us this is how she started, her being God's greatest creation, her with Sonya, her with Otis, all those like little bits and pieces of her in WWE in 4 years. We like you get little clips to her transformation with Toxic Attraction with the brunette hair. So I did like that it wasn't just a Toxic Attraction in that whole year as champion, but we went back from the beginning to show you that whole transformation and what it led up to her beating NXT. So I feel like the video package and the details with it were so well done. I love that part of it, and having the girls with her, of course. But I kept thinking, like I told her parents, like JC Jane with that top, yeah, nothing's happening. Well, she's in the ring at least. And ironically, Gigi's the one that got attacked today when this happened. Um, but one thing is, I definitely love the promo. I love her delivery of it and the way she presented herself. More than anything as champion, it was really well done. Definitely, like probably my favorite promo of hers. Don't get too excited at it, just in case. Um, but yeah, I really like her the way she described everything that happened the whole year. And like I told you when it was happening, I said, "Who's gonna interrupt her of all people?" It definitely was not who I expected it to be. I was hoping it would be somebody kind of new that she hadn't faced. But we had some smoke coming up in front of her and the ladies, and the smoke was clear. We had Alba Fire attacking Gigi and attacking even the guys, trying to go after Mandy. Mandy steps out of the ring with JC alongside of her. And then all of a sudden, we had her doing the gory bomb onto the table to Gigi. And she tells Mandy, "This week I took care of Gigi. Next week I'll take care of JC, and I'm coming after that title afterwards." So just it makes me wonder if this will be really the end of it. Like they were just waiting for her to hit that year mark and then give now the title to Alba, because to me it wouldn't make sense for Alba to lose that championship match a second time now. And it just, if her with the plan of like, here, I'm gonna take care of the girls before this happened. I like it a lot better than what happened during Halloween Havoc, but I'm hoping this is the moment to like, please give me something new, because I like what Mandy accomplished. Don't get me wrong, I like the promo, but I feel like it's time for them to move on and give something new to the all three ladies at this point.
Yeah, and we're gonna want to see that next step of the evolution trip for Mandy Rose as well. With that, we also want to see Alba Fire get that opportunity to be that person that carries the load in that division and be that number one. So yeah, I mean, and then she also said, she's like, this week I took out Gigi Doe. Next week I'm gonna take out JC Jane, and 2 weeks from now I'm taking that women's championship. Very good promo by Alba Fire as well. So yeah, very much like that. I like the fact they didn't close this off right away. I was worried that maybe they were, if they weren't going to break up Toxic Attraction, I was worried that they were going to be done with Alba Fire. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. Then we kind of get into an interview with Apollo Crews. I don't understand the point of this promo. It didn't really do much because he's already said this in the past. He already said that he wants a match with Braun Breaker, but he doesn't think Braun Breaker wants a match with him. And it just seemed a little weird. Because in a segment that we also saw with Wesley and Braun Breaker getting kind of ready, we saw a Mr. Stone come in. Mm-hmm. A Mr. Stone that I don't really care for. But nonetheless, he comes in and he tells, hey, Braun, I know you can beat up everybody in the back. But there's a guy out there that's bigger than you, stronger than you. And you know that you can't beat him. And that's Von Wagner. And he wants to face you for that championship. Now we're finding out Apollo Crews also wants this championship. Seems like we're going to have a multi-man match for this championship, in my opinion. But, yeah, so very curious to kind of thinking. I just didn't think much of this promo with Apollo. I think I'd much rather have seen him in a match, cut a promo, then leave, than just another backstage promo of him saying the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been better for me if it was, whether it was an interview or in ring promo, but do it with one that Braun comes in and answers him. Because what's the point of him saying it into thin air that he wants to challenge Braun if Braun's not there to answer it? So I think I would have preferred if for some reason he says, oh, I want to challenge Braun. And then Braun comes out. He's like, "Okay, you want to go face me? Let's go at it. Let's go next week or whenever they want to do it." Uh, but whether that was backstage or in the ring, doesn't matter. But I would have liked or preferred to see in that moment Braun answering back to him that he does want to face him, because it's just like him saying, "Oh, Braun isn't replying to me." You know how many people are going after Braun right now. It's kind of hard for him to pay attention to all these targets he has on his back right now. So I think it's better if you do it face to face, perhaps.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. Like if I mean, he's the NXT champion. Everyone's going to be gunning for him. If they're not, get out of that dressing room. Uh, but yeah, needless to say, if you want to make that impact, which you can also seal it later on this week, then yeah, like you said, do something about it. Get in his grill and then show him what's up. Make your presence felt. Um, because somebody that is making their presence felt is somebody we don't know. They go by the name Scripps with a Y, and they're leaving very weird voicemails at the PC. We saw another one. By chance, do you have, the dialogue of what they said? Um, because I know, I don't know, it's very cryptic, but at the same time, at the very least, behind, we're seeing kind of like the font and the writing come and being written on our screen. Kind of, it's like, kind of like what we call it, like a teleprompter in a way. We do see somebody in the background, though, at a door. We do see somebody in a mask there, which a little bit different from the last time. Definitely outside of the PC, a little bit more interesting. Makes me definitely believe that this is a male. At first, I'm thinking maybe this could be the person we used to know as T-Bar, now Dominic Dijakovic. Now possibly Donovan Dijak. But we also saw that promo later on as well. So I'm a little stumped on who this could be. Kind of your thoughts on this promo, and by chance, do you have kind of more of the actual dialogue?
Yeah, I found the video. I wanted to type it, but it went by too fast for me. So yeah, I tried. Um, yeah, I thought it was interesting that this time around, even though it was outside of the PC like it was last week, we did see that person in the hoodie kind of spray painting the entrance of the PC. I
Yeah.
would have liked to maybe them show us what the person perhaps drew or wrote in front of the door, on top of the door, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think it would have been interesting to see what they just did with the spray paint, because it'll show us that end of it. They just show us a person in the hoodie doing it. From what I read here, it says you can scream my calls, but you cannot scream my fury. One by one, you should all fall. So just let it happen, as is written on the walls. It says coming to NXT almost feels like home, because inside those ropes, the canvas will be the place how I express how I feel in my bones. I will leave my mark, and I warn you all on my imminent start. And then sincerely, Scripps. I it just reminds me back to what they said last week, because it seems like kind of like rhyming, kind of what they said soliloquy last week, and this one kind of rhymes. It has like a rhythm to it. So I thought that was interesting as well. Like we have a theme going up with both the voicemails so far. So that's maybe something to it, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, but needless to say, this is something that's very interesting and it's catching my eye. It's different, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the creative of this. And what I like is the mysterious aspect behind this. Who could it be? They're doing a lot of that who could it be kind of things, and I'm still okay with it because no matter what, who doesn't like a good reveal? So yeah, I'm very curious to see how long this goes, and I wonder if this is going to be rushed or if it's going to be a nice little thing. In my opinion, I think that deadline on December 10th might be the perfect day for this.
Yeah, that would be interesting. No, I like the theme of it. Even though they have us guessing of who the person could be, they do it in different ways. Because with Ava, we had the person with the hoodie being on screen is every so often in the background. and they keep coming on screen more often. And then this one we get the voicemails. So it's like they're done in different ways either way. And as a horror fan, I love trying to guess who the killer is at the end. So just like I do that here too. So I had to brainstorm for this one though.
Yeah. So very, very interesting. Um, and this gets us to Indy Hartwell versus Zoe Stark, the match. And I thought this was actually, at this point, this was my match of the night. I thought this was a very good match. I thought Indy looked really good. I thought Zoe looked really good. And I thought they gave this time. And everything breathed. Nothing felt rushed. There was a good story behind it. And one of the stories we saw throughout this match was that Zoe got frustrated. And when they got out to the floor, she got a little bit aggressive in the sense when she saw the table, she started, undressing the table like you would with your intention of putting somebody through it. However, we also saw Nikita Lyons on the outside telling her, get her back in the ring and kind of trying to calm her down, trying to really get her more focused on the task at hand, and that is beat Indy Hartwell in the ring and not punish her outside of the ring, which I thought that was really interesting to see. Also kind of keeping that going in. She does, rolls her back in the ring, but takes a little too much time as she goes back in. She receives the big boot, and then then manages to get the 1-2-3 on her. Very happy that Indy got the win in this match. I think they're slowly building Indy Hartwell up to be a main player in this division, and I think that's very good. Because I don't think a win or a loss affects Zoe at all in this match. And you took that decision and you allowed it to help the momentum of someone else, but it also progressed the story. And I thought this was a job well done throughout the books. So take us kind of towards your opinions on this match.
Yeah, like you said, I just like how they have a little bit of like something going on with each of them with the stories because we had Indy winning. I don't mind having Indy on a winning streak and building her up. I've been wanting her to have some kind of direction. This is the start of it now. Uh, and like you said, it doesn't hurt really Zoe in the aspect of like it almost seems like she was distracted by her anger, so that took away from her victory. So it took away from what her main goal was supposed to be. When she started going over to the commentary table, I thought for a moment that Nikita was trying to help her with Indy. And that's when I realized she's like telling her, no, like win the match. And by winning it, you had to bring her back in the ring. And I like that aspect of having Nikita being her conscience in a way of like bringing her back to earth and telling her, do you want the victory? This is not the way to do it. Do it like the clean way by going in the ring and going against her. I did like Zoe being very aggressive towards Indy as well, showing that anger that she has for losing the titles after having them in her hands alongside Nikita last week. So I like how that transitioned over to this figure, just like that anger of her losing, and how she can take that anger to the match next week as well. But yeah, just the character development that happened tonight, that was definitely very interesting. I enjoy seeing it from both of these ladies tonight.
Yeah, and what I just enjoyed out of the thing, I think even more that we haven't even talked about, is just the slow play of the character of Nikita Lyons. We normally see her being, that lioness, right? But now she's kind of taken that step back, and we're seeing kind of, her progression when she doesn't always have to be the main focus. And I think that's really good. And I think she's getting a lot more sympathetic in this whole thing, which I think is a very interesting attribute for Nikita Lyons. So I'm very curious to see how this progresses, especially going into next week where they have that tag team championship opportunity against Katana Chance and
Kaden Carter.
there we go. Thank you. I had the last name. I'm just what? Yeah. No, I should have just kept it simple. KC squared. Just should have done that. Just should have. But no, I had to kind of show off a little bit, and it backfired.
Good try.
Get an A for effort, I hope. And then obviously, this is where we get that Donovan Dijak or Dominic Dijakovic or T-Bar We know he's not going to be T-Bar anymore. Hey, I'm
Thank
saying it
God.
right, Diakovic. That is them. That is exactly how it was pronounced on the show. So no, it's not wrong.
Hmm.
So, uh, might be another pronunciation with you. I don't know, but I know. But anyway, not the point. We just know he's coming. That's what she said. But it's going to be great because who doesn't miss him in the ring? And then we get a Valentina Feroz and Sanga backstage from with Feroz pretty much asking him, "Can you come out with me in my match again tonight?" And basically said no. I don't understand the point of this, but it was. I kind of laughed. Like I thought it was kind of funny because she was very innocent, and then he just wasn't. And then we ended up seeing Veer Mahan kind of tell him, "Look, when do people do that? Like when do people take advantage? Like like just pretty much get him to sign in." Turnbuckle Studios. Nice to see Dijak back and the T-Bar name dropped. Yes, the only time I've ever seen T-Bar at all was on a chairlift when I'm going up and I'm ready to snowboard, ski, or anything like that. Because you got to go up on the T-Bar. It's something I usually sat on. Very weird of a name for me.
Mhm.
But yeah, needless to say. The one thing I haven't really said about this promo is we saw Wendy Chu in the background the entire time. And it was hard not to just watch her. Especially when this, I don't know, it very much, the whole thing was nothing, but like with her in the background, it kind of went something, like, I don't know, it became something. So, yeah, she wasn't sleeping though. She was just kind of there.
Mhm.
It's like she was a peeping Tom in there. She kind of
But did
seemed,
you notice though when this was happening that Valentina started asking Sanga to be in her match? He doesn't really say no at first until Veer shows up, and that's when he's like, nah, because he kind of sees him behind her. But I
yeah.
also like one thing what I like with Valentina so far has been her facial expressions because you can see that like sadness and disappointment in her face when he says no. She almost looks like that little sister when her brother says no to her, like I don't want to play with you kind of thing. Just like it made me feel bad for her when I saw that. But I did like seeing Wendy in the background. My eyes just went up to her, and I just kept looking at Wendy, but just listening to View and Shanka and Sanka just talking. So it didn't help. Okay.
do do we get a vibe that Valentina and Wendy Chu are going to pair up?
I do, but at the same time, I feel bad because it just seems that they don't know what to do with Valentina now that Julisa's gone. So she's like, here, we're gonna put you with Wendy for now. Have at it.
Yeah, but I feel like if there's ever like a curiosity of what to do on the women's side, and you're like, okay, you might be stuck on what to do, we're just like, well, we got Wendy Chu here, and she'll just turn anything into gold because of her timing and her ability. Like very underrated in the ring, but also
Mhm.
very good with the shticks and the promos and the backstage stuff. So that's interesting. But yeah, so I'm again little seeds being planted. This was kind of the theme of the show, just seeds planting for
Mhm.
the next show. Because this kind of takes us to the match that Valentina for us is talking about, her going one-on-one against the Generation of Jade, Cora Jade, in a match I don't think either one of us had any inclination that for us was going to win this match.
No, I felt really bad. That was just like me with Weston at the beginning. Just I knew she was losing, but I feel like either way, it just showcased her and her character development, and I like that about her so far. And like they were mentioned in commentary, Cora needed the victory to like pick herself up after losing a Halloween Havoc,
Yeah.
which brought me up to think as well. Last week, I think it was, we saw the video package of Roxanne after like her winning the match and leading up to that victory. And then this week we don't see her, so it's interesting to have 2 weeks in a row with no Roxanne on screen, like in person, nothing, not a promo, interview, match, nothing, just a video package. So I thought the timing of that was interesting.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder if they're kind of I don't want to say unsure, but very very much on the we're maybe undecided sign of like what to do next with Roxana Perez.
Mhm.
I do think if you really want to do something right away, I think like anyone in Toxic Attraction would work. Like that's a really good boom. Um, I don't know, help out Alba Fire or something. I don't know. Get close to that title. Like that's all I'm saying. Like maybe just take that next step. But yeah, I mean that's also something they need to do. I would also love to see Cora Jade go up against Indy Hartwell. By the way, that was something that the more I saw the match progress, because I didn't really have many notes on this match, simply because my mind was already set that okay, Cora Jade's going to win this match.
Mhm.
She did. Wasn't really going to think much of it because it's just like it's just a put over match for Cora Jade and that's it. But the more I was thinking, I was like, okay, who's next for Cora Jade? And I'm just like, okay, well, if Zoe turns, it's going to be her and Kita. If you have that, okay, who else? And then when Indy had that win against Zoe, I was like, you know what? Indy Hartwell versus Cora Jade could be very good moving forward. So that's hope. That's my hope now.
I mean, that's a good one. I wouldn't mind seeing those two.
Yeah. So okay, and then we kind of get to another promo. Well, another pair of promos. We got one with
What
some.
about me? You missed me helping Cora.
I did miss that actually. I went to the bathroom. I did go to the bathroom.
Wow.
I missed that. But
Well, it
no,
was
but
not a sleeper for me. I didn't miss it. But anyway,
I
yeah.
drank this amount of water. That's a lot of water. All right, I had to go. I apologize.
No,
No,
yeah,
okay, no, but this is perfect. Take us away then.
yeah. Wendy, she was helping. Well, Cora was about to hit or Valentina with the candlestick, and Wendy came in for the save, and she took it, tried to hit Cora with it, but Cora ran away. So she assisted Valentina, helped her up. So that's why I thought that's what you were going for when you said about them teaming up. So.
Yeah, no, I missed that, but I still got that vibe beforehand. So, no, I think like it'd be great because I think we both kind of don't expect the titles to go off of Caden Carter and Katana Chance uh, next week. So they're gonna need people to work with, and I'm thinking, okay, Valentina Frost, Money Chu could be an interesting little dynamic. Also, the pairing of Keanu James and the person that we don't know the name of right now. Uh, but yeah, so I don't know. That's all I'm thinking. Like I'm just thinking of kind of like where are people fitting here? But yeah. But now we get to the pair of promos. One with Zoe Stark still kind of whining about her not or winning and kind of failing again. Nikki Lyons pretty much saying, "Don't worry, I got you. Just let me. I got you." But they run into Katana Chance and Kaden Carter.
Good job.
Um, and yeah, kind of said like, "Look, guess you don't have a lot of momentum going in, so yeah, you might want to do better next time." Kind of just just a
Mm,
little bit. But I don't mind that at all. And I didn't think really negative of the KCs at all. I kind of thought that was good. I mean, you got to get in their head.
mhm.
Got to play those mind games if you want to get that mental edge in a competition. So, very much okay with that. What are your thoughts about that progression of KCs? Because we're kind of seeing them more kind of that, I don't want to say bitch role, but they're kind of being a little bit more bitchy.
I mean, even though their faces, it's nice to see them kind of getting that attitude and just
Yeah,
feeling that respect for themselves and just thinking it took us that long to get here. People gotta respect who we are, and we gotta start by respecting ourselves as a tag team. Because if we don't respect ourselves, how do we expect other people to respect us as a team as a whole? So
exactly.
I like that end of it, and just like the way she's like, "Oh, you can't beat us," and then just Zoe going, "We beat you," and she's like, "That doesn't count." um, I love that part of it though. Just thinking like, yeah, it didn't count because of what happened, but it just I like the attitude they gave us because I feel like you get that progression. Like they're feeling more confident as a team, and I like that about them because they should feel confident as a team because they've been not only do they have chemistry, but they've been friends for so long that they should feel that way already. So it's nice to see them feeling confident about that title match next week. And you said, look, with your attitude, we know we got this. So
Yeah. And swagger. That's the word I was looking for. Swagger.
mm,
So I take back the bitchy. I'm gonna insert swagger, and I like that. So yeah, and then we go into another promo where we see Stax and Tony D'Angelo. And this is starting to become that pairing I'm very much interested in seeing. Tony D'Angelo is part of that, and he even mentions it. It's like almost watching your son grow up, and kind of talking about how Stax is progressing, and I think that's a really great way of looking at it because that's exactly how he looks. Because I love that even though he lost against Shinsuke Nakamura, we saw Tony D'Angelo be supportive of it. And he understands that this was a test. And he wasn't mad that he lost. And I think we're seeing a little too much of that lately. And I'm kind of going more into the Gunther, and every time, somebody loses, he chops, he goes very mad. But we're seeing that patience, and we're seeing that, okay. And I think this is very interesting. And I think Tony D'Angelo might become a babyface when he does return. And we kind of, that's when now we see Elektra Lopez kind of come back in that fold. And yeah, gave me the vibe of like, okay, this could be a thing, maybe again. No, but Elektra Lopez does say, like, hey, you thought I was dangerous before. Just wait till I'm on, like, now that I'm on my own. It's like, it's going to go. And then Sat kind of goes, it's like, you believe her? Tony D'Angelo says, you know what? I do. So there's respect there between Elektra Lopez and Tony D'Angelo from their history. And I liked that part of it. Take us through kind of your mind and what you were thinking when you saw that, because I know we're both in that kind of awkward phase of seeing Elektra Lopez still in NXT, not with Legado on SmackDown.
yeah. I feel like I like going back to that storyline with Tony because if you think about it back with everything with Legato, he was respecting her for the way she was taking care of business with him, what everything happened. And of all people, he was always like, "Oh, look at Electra. She got us more business this time around," and she kept highlighting her more often than the guys. So it goes going back to that point of like he always talked about her versus everybody else in Legato while everything was happening. And it's also nice to see like a guy as they're talking to a girl, just telling her, "Yeah, like I can see her. Look, I can see how confident she is," and just confirming what she's saying as well. And I like how she said, "Oh, I like being my own boss." And it's like that was interesting to point out, but pretty well done. I like how they played off of each other and like kind of going and continuing that storyline to how they were together working before.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like, anything else before we go into the main event?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, and then that kind of takes us right now to the main event match that we have. Wesley and Braun Breaker going after Pretty Deadly for those tag team championships. And yeah, like I said, like before this match, I had Indy and Zoe pegged as my match of the night, but I thought again, NXT main events are delivering. And I thought this was a great match between the two. I thought we really showcased everything. We saw, again, Pretty Deadly take that next step of being that tag team, really showcasing their chemistry with each other. And I just like the way they gel. They know when to kind of act their part earlier in the night during their promo, but when the bell rings, they almost know now when to kind of take it to the next step and go into that next gear. And I really like that. The more I see Pretty Deadly, the more I'm becoming fans. Um, your thoughts on this match and kind of your thoughts on the team of, I'll go Wesley and Braun Breaker.
I really enjoyed like the way Pretty Deadly was showing off. Like when the bell rings, when it's going to business, they're really serious about it. I also like even with here and throughout the match how they kept showing off Wes and how quick he is, and he was basically the one taking the most out of the match. So that was nice to see. I love how both other guys were pretty deadly. Were trying to go after him at the same time. They just landed on the mat at the same time, trying to avoid him from getting that tag to Braun. I
Yeah.
thought the timing of that was pretty funny as well. And just like avoiding that hot tag, knowing that Braun was fresher in the corner there, and knowing he could take them both. And when he took them on both, I just like I like the way like the crowd reacted to it, how they pointed out in commentary too, and then we just kicked up and kept going like it was nothing. But yeah, I didn't think that Wes and Braun were gonna have chemistry, but it wasn't bad when I saw them on screen together. So that was really surprising to me. Just I was like, I know Wesley's the tag team guy, but Braun has always been like that kind of guy that's always writing by himself. So I wasn't expecting him to have that kind of chemistry with Wes, but it was pretty well done. I just like I said, I just another thing that ruined it for me though was that before Carmelo came out, they put the camera towards the entrance for like a quick second. And it's just like I kept trying to look to see what was happening, and that angle ruined it for me because I was already like waiting for somebody to come out because of what they did a couple seconds beforehand. So that's why I kind of knew already when Carmelo was coming up because I saw that end of it. Um, the only thing I didn't like about that end of it is like I understand Carmelo kind of inserting himself into this, but it just makes you think he's going back for the North American Championship, which I don't want to see. I want him to do more than that. So that's the part that I was disappointed in. But I like what I'm seeing with him and West though.
Um. Yeah. I mean, and thank you, Bobby, for the raid of probably just yourself. Think that. But no, appreciate that nonetheless. See, and I kind of looked at this as a different way, and like as we kind of get into it, yeah, there was a moment where Wesley is on the top rope, and we see Carmelo Hayes, who's just by himself, no Trick Williams,
Mhm.
push him from the rear end down in the mat, and then he gets rolled up for the 1, 2, 3. What I think, obviously, before the ladder match they had at Halloween Havoc, you definitely saw a lot of interaction between Wesley and Carmelo Hayes. What I believe what's going to happen in this match, or what's going to happen moving on, we're going to see that one-on-one with Hayes and Wesley, and that's just going to help solidify Wesley as that North American champion, kind of the
Mhm.
swan song from that championship. And I get that. That's closure in that thing, and I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
But what he also did in the process, he just didn't cost Wesley the match. He also cost Braun Breaker an opportunity to become tag team champion. So I still think that there's going to be that little,
Seed.
nugget of information
Hmm.
that can be used, whether it's Braun seeing that or whether it's Carmelo saying, look, you didn't become a tag team champion because of me.
Hmm.
Just like you're not going to become, or you're not going to retain that championship because of me. Like, I see where that could go, so I'm
Hmm.
okay with it. Just being a little patient on here. Um, what I also liked is that going back to what you're saying about the chemistry between Wesley and Braun Breaker, I was very impressed with how they worked with each other. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
it's easy to say it's Wesley being the tag team specialist, and I think there's a part of that. But we go back to when Braun Breaker was tagging with Tyler Bate, and we saw the chemistry there. I think this is a time where we now rectify kind of some thoughts we had on Braun Breaker and give him a little credit where credit's due. And the fact that he does have chemistry working with people in a tag, and he also has chemistry working with people smaller than him. And that I think is noteworthy because not everyone can have chemistry with people of different sizes. Um, I say this knowing that I'm a smaller wrestler. So it's really nice to know that you have somebody who's maybe a little larger than you, knowing how to work to your strengths. So, I mean, knowing that is kind of half the battle. And I really like that. But again, pretty deadly. They get that 1, 2, 3. They were Johnny on the spot. They were the right place, right time, if you want to say that. And they pick up that W. And I very much like it. Another thing I want to say about Pretty Deadly, they are 100% confident in who they are now in their matches, and just seeing the evolution, the progress from NXT UK to now, you definitely see it. And I think that's just absolutely amazing. Um, and then after this match, we see Carmelo Hayes and uh, the North American champion Wesley kind of brawl to the back, which leaves Braun Breaker in the ring. He does the most awkward look at me, I'm a champion, only to look behind and he eats a boot from Von Wagner. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This actually made Von Wagner look like somebody who I can watch for more than 5 seconds. So I don't mind that. This is a new little wrinkle now in the NXT title picture. I don't mind. And then it pans back to the monitor in the back where Apollo Crews is watching. And then all of a sudden, JD McDonough, which I'm very happy with because that submission went against Ilya Dragunov last week shouldn't have been for nothing. Mm-hmm. And he tells Apollo, he's like, it's going to be hard to be the man and be the number one with the attached retina. I'll see you soon. So again, multiple people. We could be seeing a multiple championship match on the horizon, but now all of a sudden things are picking up. We have multiple storylines going in at the closing part of NXT. Your thoughts about all this little stuff? A lot of information to take in just a short period of time.
Yeah, I like how all the storylines are like intertwining with each other in a way. It's like I said, it's like I know I know Carmelo and Wes are gonna do great when they face each other one on one. So that's why I'm excited for the match itself because I know they will deliver. I think what also gave it away for me that Vaughn was in there was also the camera angle in this instance when Braun is with the championship because they kind of shot it from down because they didn't want you to see what was in the background. So I already kind of had a sense that somebody was coming in, and when he turned around, he got that boot from Vaughn. I feel like it definitely showed us that hint of like we can take him seriously. We can take him as a threat to Braun Breaker's championship, which I feel like I've never really seen Vaughn in that way. So it's nice to see him painted in a different light tonight as well, as a whole. So I really like how I feel like everything happened at once, but at the same time, I like how everybody had their own thing going on. And then having Apollo and JD just watching from the back, I like the way that JD just tells him that vision that you have is not going to really come true here in NXT, and the way you have it painted in your mind in such a way. But it just goes back to my point of like I was saying about Apollo earlier. I like how we're seeing all these targets for Braun because you still have JD in the back of your mind. We have Apollo hanging in there. Now we have Vaughn as well. And that's just other people that have really said it verbally. You don't know who else is probably probably going against them as a threat soon, like you said with Carmelo as well. So I like that part of it. Like he has like a lineup of people now going at this point, and I feel like the last couple of like weeks we never really had that with Braun going out. Like we didn't have like a threat to him, and I feel like that we have so many people lining up now. It feels like there's a threat to his championship. Finally, that's how it feels like to me.
Yeah, and that's just it. If you want to hunt in the jungle, you got to be prepared to be the marksman, and you got to be prepared to be the target of other marksmen. So it's very interesting, and that's the nice thing. There's a little bit of an unpredictability now around that NXT title, which means there's a little bit of unpredictability around Braun Breaker. And when you get a little bit of unpredictability with someone, it becomes a little bit more, it just becomes a little bit extra interesting now because you have no idea what to expect. You back somebody like Braun Breaker up against a wall, the only thing he's going to do is fight his way out, and we're going to get uncontrolled chaos. We're going to get carnage, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah, but anyway, that does take us to the end of the episode. But before that, I do want to run you down of what's coming up next week of NXT because there is a good amount of stuff going on. Match-wise, we have Stacks going up against Hank Walker. That match was announced during that promo that we didn't say, but I saved it for here. We also have a 5-minute match between Mr. Brutus Creed and then that little bastard in Kemp. So that's, I think, going to be a fun one. If we want to see kind of chaos, that's going to be 5 minutes, hopefully, if there's nothing but. We also have Joe Gacy going up against Cameron Grimes for the final time as Ava Rain mentioned in her promo. I do believe that. I think this is going to be the swan song to
I hope
this
so.
feud because I said this before to somebody else, but there's part of me that knowing that Cameron Grimes has that money stuff going on, he could be a giant fit to JBL and Baron Corbin on Raw. So that'd be very interesting to me. I do think this could be not only Cameron Grimes swan song with Joe Gacy, but also perhaps with NXT. And then we also have that women's tag team championship match between Zoe Stark, Nikita Lyons, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter. So yeah, we have that all going on, and there's going to be plus more.
And Andre and Dempsey.
Yes, that's right. Andre Chase and Nathan Dempsey going on, and hopefully, just hopefully, we can finally see a little bit more of Nathan Frazier and Axiom a little bit. We haven't seen them a lot lately, so give us some of that. And that's also another one too. We're talking about the Von Wagner thing. Maybe we see some Nathan Frazier coming out because they did have their kind of run-ins prior to that ladder match. So again, so much unpredictability around this championship. So yeah, before we kind of take it away, I am going to ask people, stay with us. We will be rating another channel, but I'm also, because this is being played on our local establishment YouTube page, I will also end the way we normally end the show. So if you're following us on Twitch, please stay as we go and raid. Still going to pick who we do that. That's kind of the fun part about choosing. But also, yeah, please, whoever we raid, go and give them some love, some support. We call that the OLE way. Just support and love all the way around. So before we go there, Astrid, tell everyone where we can find you and what you have going on.
So I have Thursday Making an Impact with Cody, which will replay later on Monday on Backbreaker Media. So check out the YouTube channel. And then Friday, I am premiering the second episode of Ladies Wrestling Showcase with Mel, which we talk about the PWI Women's 150. I keep thinking Women's 100, but it's 150 at this point. And that will also replay in Backbreaker Media on Tuesday on the YouTube channel as well. And yeah, and hopefully sometime next week I will premiere my interview with Billy Starks, who just announced that she's having a show in Japan for the first time, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, that'll be sometime next week on my YouTube channel as well. What about you, sir?
As you see below, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Parrish, Instagram now that's no longer deactivated at Chris.Parrish. You can follow me on the Twitch, as I know some did before I, of course, raided back to our local establishment at the Chris Parrish, which, I'm now kind of at a crossroads of like what I'm going to produce on there. But you know what? I have some ideas. So make sure you're checking back, because I am going to be doing the dual stream on both mine and our local establishment's Twitches coming up. But as terms of content, what you can definitely see is more Tuesday NXT with Taking Over alongside myself and you, Astrid. Every Sunday, you can follow me and Bobby Munson as the Brunch Busters are busting, and it makes us feel good as we talk the week of pro wrestling on busting out. But sometimes it's just not all about me. We got a plethora of great things, and let me take you to the video of what's going on in the world of our local establishment.
To me, like a voice inside my head. It's like a fight back and I'll tweet it. I'm falling, frustrated, intoxicated. I know I'm losing myself. I can't take it anymore. But I'm not done. I'm not done. I won't give up until the end. But I won't fall. I'll stand away.
Yeah, and that is everything we have going on. And hopefully, if that raid did go through. Hopefully we are rating Fightful Gaming. And that's who I decided to go on the Twitch side. But if you're still watching us on the YouTube, please know that we thank you for staying in. I know that's a little awkward sometimes to go, but yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, thank you again so much, everyone, for coming in and spending your time with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you again next week here at Taking Over.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming